Mhm. Oops. Yes, it's ready, Maharaj. Thank you. Over to you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chiravasan Niraharo Bandavam Muktamudvajaha Darshayanatmano Rupam Jarumata Pishachavat Anevaksamano Niraga Asrivan Bandiro Yata. After that, Maharaj Yudhisthira dressed himself in torn clothing, gave up all eating of all solid foods, voluntarily became dumb, and let his hair hang loose. All this combined to make him look like an urchin or madman with no occupation. He did not depend on his brothers for anything, and just like a deaf man, he heard nothing. Purport, thus being freed from all external affairs, he had nothing to do with imperial life or family prestige. And for all practical purpose, he composed himself exactly like an inert mad urchin and did not speak of material things. He had no dependence on his brothers, who had all along been helping him. This stage of complete independence from anyone is also called the purified stage of fearlessness. Next verse. Puricham pravivesha samgatakur purvam mahatma bihi Hadi Brahma Paro Jayan Navateta Utogataha. He then started towards the north, treading the path accepted by his forefathers and great men to devote himself completely to the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he lived in that way wherever he went. Purport. It is understood from this verse that Maharaj Yudhisthira, following the footsteps of his forefathers and the great devotees of the Christ. We have discussed many times before that the system of varnashram dharma, as it was strictly followed by the inhabitants of the world, specifically by those who inhabited the Aravata province of the world, emphasizes the importance of leaving all household connections at a certain stage of life. Training and education was so imparted, and thus a respectable person like Maharaj Yudhisthira had to leave all family connections for self-realization and going back to Godhead. No king or respectable gentleman would continue family life to the end, because that was considered suicidal and against the interests of the perfection of human life. In order to be free from all family encumbrances and devoting oneself 100% in the devotional service of Lord Krishna, this system is always recommended for everyone because it's the path of authority. The Lord instructs in the Bhagavad Gita 1862 that one must become a devotee of the Lord at least at the last stage of one's life. Sincere soul of the Lord like Maharaj Yudhisthira must abide by these instructions of the Lord for his own interests. The specific words Brahma Param indicate Lord Krishna. This corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita by Arjuna with reference to great authorities like Asita, Deva, Narada, Vyas. Thus Maharaj Yudhisthira, while leaving home for the north, constantly remembered Lord Krishna within himself, following the footsteps of his forefathers as well as the great devotees of all times. Omagyanatimirandasyan Gyanajana Savakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvase Sansunyavadi Pasyatya Satarine Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bhaja Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So he's getting an indication that the goal of life is to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotion at the time of departure of the body. Yam yam vapis param bhavam taktva ante kalevaram tam tam ivaita konteya sadata bhava bhavitaha. Human form of life is so designed that at different stages one performs activities in devotion to the Lord. But specifically towards the end of one's life, that's usually after 50 years of activity, one starts to move away from family life, and then ultimately, as they get on in years, they completely detach themselves from all material activities and focus completely on devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a king, he had many surroundings with family members, friends, and others, but one who was expert at leaving the body simply leaves everything behind. They don't look back thinking, well, maybe I still want to do this or something. There's nothing for them, and all they can think about is how to fix their mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. The lotus feet of the Lord represents pure devotion. It also represents the perfection of pure devotional service, wherein the Lord becomes the full attention of the devotee. It becomes the stage of meditation on the Lord and on the process of devotional service. As that stage becomes perfection, it becomes an absorption. When an absorption is complete, then they are no longer in the material world, they are back in the spiritual world. So this is for everyone. These examples by great kings such as Maharaj Yudhisthira and others are here for our edification, our instructions, because they teach what is the purpose of human life. And the purpose of human life is not to make a nice arrangement to enjoy in this world. One may facilitate one's enjoyment in the early parts of life, but as life moves towards the older years, one gradually detaches themselves from that. In our Krishna conscious movement, we see that devotees who have joined the movement even at a young age are completely detached from all material activities. They may still have tendencies for these activities, but they have distanced themselves from the activity themselves. And gradually, as they practice the process of hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord and offering service to the Supreme Lord, following in the footsteps of their predecessor spiritual masters and the present Acharya. They fix their mind simply on the activities of devotional service. They have no more responsibilities, nor do they look towards the material world to give them any more responsibilities. So this is a nice example. It's and Prabhupada emphasized the importance that, and no one respectable would continue family life to the end. Family life is the foundation by which material life exists. And the attachment to family members and family activities are so strongly covering the mind of the conditioned souls that it becomes almost an impossible affair to give this up. But the process is gradual, where one gradually develops a higher taste for Krishna and devotional service, same time detaching themselves from these activities. Of course, there are those who do it all at once. They just leave home, leave everything behind, and we have the example of Maharaj Parikshit, who did that when he was cursed by a Brahmin boy. He left everything behind, and he simply sat down on the banks of the Ganges to hear the glories of the Lord spoken by the pure soul Sukadeva Goswami. Although he was a king, had a wonderful family, qualified wife who was also a devotee of the Lord, kingdom, followers, respect, unrivaled in all respects. Still, he left it all just like one passes stool and flushes the toilet and leaves everything behind. Not thinking, where did the stool go? Or maybe there's something good about the stool that I should have, I should have kept with me before I flushed the toilet. And this is not the activities of one who understands the goal of life. And we have examples from great kings and great personalities, sadhus, great saints, who teach that this material world is a place where we prepare ourselves to go back home, back to Godhead. It's almost like when you want to use a ladder, you have a ladder has a purpose where you climb up on the ladder, but when you get to the top, you don't need the ladder anymore. Similarly, we use the material world by using the activities that we normally do in the material world, by taking those same activities and serving the Supreme Lord. We eat for the Lord, we sleep for the Lord, we worship the Lord. We even do daily chores that are in connection with maintaining the body as a service to the Lord. Everything becomes a focus of one's devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada mentions that there's a system of varnashram which gradually detaches one from the affairs of material life. And if one doesn't practice it, then when the time comes to material world, one will still remain attached. And when the mind is still attached at the time of death, then that mind will keep one in the cycle of birth and death, only to take birth again, to have to again struggle to come to that stage. So one should be diligent enough to understand that this material world cannot give the living entity the happiness, satisfaction, peace, or position anywhere for enjoyment. This material world is simply a rectification for the living entity's leaving the spiritual world and coming for the material world to enjoy. So if we perform all those activities in a detached way, becoming more and more attached to Krishna through the activities, then when it's time to leave the world, it becomes easy and natural. And this particular verse talks about the different stages of life, but in our Krishna consciousness movement, Srila Prabhupada has allowed young men and women to join the movement and practice pure devotional service even from the beginning, where they can become detached even at a young age and continue that detachment until they reach perfection and then go back home, back to Godhead. And the special mercy of Lord Chaitanya is that he has made the process even easier. As Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita explains that one should surrender to me, giving up everything. But Lord Chaitanya doesn't speak about that. He says the process of surrender and giving up everything becomes natural as one develops hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Visayan vinivartante niharasya dehinam raso varjam raso pyasya param drisva nivartante. One develops a higher taste, then it's easier to give up the lower taste. Material life is tasteless because there is no real satisfaction and happiness in here. A temporary satisfaction of the senses through the objects of the senses. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita in the fifth chapter, verse number 22, that sense gratification is the source of all suffering. So sense gratification is allowed up to a certain point, especially in household life, for producing children and for maintaining the family. But that's all, because that is one of the ashrams. Ashram means a place of spiritual cultivation, and therefore that gives some concession. But the danger of household life is that one stays attached to that griha all the way up into the later years of one's life, and then it becomes hard to that. Just like Srila Prabhupada was talking, that there are people who want to see their grandson's grandson, and they consider that if they can see the grandson's grandson, that becomes the happiness. That's like 7 generations of family members. And so people are so attached to material life, especially family life, that they center all of their, and that is called, in Sukadev Goswami mentions that in the second canto, is that kutumba. Kutumba means family. They work hard during the day to get money to support the family. And then at night they come home to enjoy a little bit of sleep and some sex life. And then they continue in that way. They think that their family members and others who surround their life are the happiness and the protection that they need from all difficulties in life. But the Bhagavatam says these cannot give protection, although they appear to. It's like a soldier who can't fight, but he's dressed as a soldier. Because he's dressed as a soldier, he looks like a soldier, but he has no fighting capacity. Similarly, the family members look like they can protect us from the onslaughts of material life, but they can't, and they are not protected either. And no one can protect another, and no one can, one cannot even protect oneself. But therefore, one has to fully surrender to the Lord in devotion, and the glories of devotional service center around hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Through hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one develops a higher taste. And one develops a higher taste, well, then the taste of material life fades away, and simply as a fog fades away when the sun comes out. So in the same way, the sun of Krishna's mercy falls upon the devotee in the glorification of the Lord through the process of hearing and chanting, and the sunshine of one's life appears to destroy all of the illusions and shadows that are produced by the attempt of the conditioned soul to be happy in this material world through family members, friends, money, position, and so-called material amenities, which are all like will o' the wisp. They come and they go just like the wind passes through one place and then leaves that place and goes on to another place. The wind will pick up a fragrance and take it from one place to another. But as the wind moves, the fragrance also moves. Similarly, similarly as time, the time element is like the wind moving everything from one place to another. And then as one reaches towards the end of life, then they're still trying to hang on to the enjoyment of material life, which causes them to simply become in a lamentable condition because they can't enjoy anymore, although they want to. Therefore, one should take up devotional service in a serious way and focus one's time, energy, and attention fully on serving the Lord, particularly hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Just like we are having this class every day, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, we're hearing about the great souls, we're hearing about the principles that govern the execution of devotional service and how they apply not only to the people who we're reading about, but to each and every one of us. Maharaj Parikshit was cursed to die in 7 days, but that curse was ordained by the Lord, so Sukadeva Goswami could speak this Srimad Bhagavatam for the benefit of the entire universe. So Maharaj Parikshit was used as an example by the Lord and as an instrument for bringing Srimad Bhagavatam into human society. And so, and in bringing Srimad Bhagavatam in human society, we have the formula by which we can live life in such a way, find happiness in the life we live, and at the same time achieve the purpose of life, to go back home, back to Godhead. And so here we have the perfect example of Maharaj Yudhisthira. I mean, to leave a few friends and family members and some money behind is one thing, but to leave a kingdom ruling the whole world and family members and friends, unrivaled kingdom, such power, such prestige, such facilities. He left it just like, as we explained, someone passes stool and leaves the toilet room. It was so insignificant. So they're teaching us that even I, who are so materially endowed, when the purpose of life becomes more relevant by the aging process, and all of these things are given up easily, and then one focuses completely on the goal of life. But one has to have the understanding that material life cannot give facility and happiness. If one is still attached to the idea of enjoying in this material world and is practicing Krishna consciousness, they are like moving in two directions, two opposite directions at the same time, which means that they don't really go anywhere. So one has to focus on that direction, which will bring one to ultimate peace, satisfaction, happiness, and the purpose of the human form of life. So these examples given to us by the Srimad Bhagavatam are ideal, they're excellent, to give all of the information that we need when we face these similar situations as we progress towards the the end of one's life. And it's not about just reading the verses and then going on to the next verses. It's about understanding deeper what is being said and how it applies in my life and how I can take advantage of it and achieve perfection towards the goal of life. So here, perfect example. They say if you have a little bit of money and you renounce, that's one thing. But if you have a lot and you have a lot of other things along with that money, that renunciation is really true renunciation. Okay. And renunciation is not like when time comes along and takes things away from you. That's not renunciation. Renunciation is a voluntary thing. Maharaj Yudhisthira, he understood it was time to leave the world. It's not that he was sick or old or things were going wrong and then he was looking for a way out. No, everything was perfect. But now he understood it was his time to leave. And so, understanding that principle, he fixed his mind on the process of pure devotional service. And that's for all of us to understand and learn from those principles, because we're all in that same situation. When Sukadeva Goswami was, when Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami, Varyan, not Varyan, he said, Lohitam, he said, what is the duty of a man about to die? And Sukadeva Goswami became inspired by the question. He said, Varyan. Varyan means excellent, excellent question. This is the question that pertains to everyone. Lohitam, lokitam. It is beneficial for the entire world. What is that question? What is the duty of one who is about to die? And everyone is about to die, whether it's today, tomorrow, or a few days down the line. Death is inevitable for those who have a material body. And one should not be fearful of death. One should simply prepare for that time by becoming Krishna conscious. That's okay. Any questions, comments?
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Very nicely explained the Varnashram Dharma. Devotees, and if you have any questions, comments, realizations, please unmute yourself and ask. And it'd be nice to have your cameras on, please. If you can keep. Thank you.
Satyabhama?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. What's your question?
I was waiting for others, but yes, my question. I've been thinking about this while you were giving class, Maharaj, but about ourselves as well, and me and my Prabhu. And in olden age, Maharaj, when when kids used to be born at very early age, marriages used to happen at early age. Like, a girl was used to get married at 16 or maximum 20 years of age. But at this time, like, kids, like our son still goes to the school. And next year, Vrindavan Dham will be almost 50-year-old. And the age of Varnashram Dharma, as I understand it, the age of 55, you should at least try and move out, stop your household connection, as is same mentioned in the verse as well. And I feel that we just, maybe I don't think myself leaving everything, all the connections in next even 10 years. And even though our heart is like, we just want to leave everything behind, we just at this uh, but it's not possible, the circumstances doesn't allow, Maharaj. So how what should we do?
Well, take the formula that's given and also take advice from the spiritual master. But the formula is that when there is children, one should settle the life of the children so they begin their life free from family dependence. And then the parents can move away from their responsibility and then gradually move into the area of renunciation. So when it comes to children, usually the girl, the father's duty is to, you can't leave home until the girl actually becomes connected to her future husband, and then she moves on and she leaves home and then she moves into the home of her husband. The boy, when the boy at a certain age, he can also depart from the home and go on his own and then begin his own life like that with some occupation, even if he's not married. So these are practical things. But at the same time, one should stay fixed in their one's devotional service. It's not that we give all time and attention to renunciation. No, we stay in our, we're serving now, we're worshiping the deity, we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're going to the festivals, we're doing various services. We continue like that. And when there's no more family responsibilities, then it's recommended that the husband and wife move away from their relationship, and husband goes out to preach or goes to a temple. The wife goes to a holy place and dedicates her entire life to living in a holy place. But if you're preaching, you can continue in your preaching mood like that. Because preaching has a certain element of exclusivity where as long as one is preaching, they can maintain their present situation, because preaching will automatically detach you from all of the other activities of material life.
Thank you, Maharaj. That was very helpful.
I think each individual family or person needs to consult their spiritual masters on their specific situation.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. There is a comment from devotees. Let me just check in the chat. So Dheeraj Prabhu is saying, Hare Krishna Maharaj, here in material world, we have lots of obstacles and challenges where we lag back in our practice. As today only, after returning from Mayapur, everything is all same here.
So what is that's a comment, right?
Yeah, that's just the comment. And there's a question from Narsingh Lila Mataji. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, Oglu Shila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj. Often we see devotees who previously were much more active in devotional life. Sometimes those people are our close ones. What is the best way to encourage them or to help them overcome those weaknesses? Thank you.
What was, I missed that one word. Often we see that they are now what?
Yeah, so sometime what Mataji is saying that sometime devotees were, in maybe or early ages, maybe who previously were much more active in devotional life. And sometimes these people are very close to us. How we can encourage them to overcome their weaknesses and come back and become active?
You try different ways, and your example is the best teacher. If you have to be fixed in your practice to be able to encourage others to do the same. And you speak about the benefits, what they think the Bhagavatam is all about. It's all about explaining the glories and the purpose and the process of achieving perfection. Taktva deham purna janmani 19 mameti surjana. Go back home, back to Godhead. And so the process is there. If one is falling away for some reason, one may discuss with that person, depending what is our relationship, and show that you can still satisfy your, just like it says in the Bhagavatam, Kama kasava karma va moksha karma udaradi tivrenya bhakti yogena yajetas purusham param. That whether you have all material desires no material desires, or if you desire devotional service, whatever you desire, you can take to the process of Krishna consciousness. Because that way you can fulfill all of your desires by worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, as the well-wisher of someone, we have to think of ways by which we can encourage that person to again come back to devotional service. There are many things that we can say. There's many things that we can show by our own example also. So think about that. You can also say, you were much happier when you were practicing devotional service. I can see you're not so happy now, which is true. The struggles that we encounter in devotional service are part of the purification that we undergo. And they're not reasons to become discouraged or give up devotional service. If we take challenges and obstacles as opportunities for reverses in life, then we're not applying our intelligence. We're being moved by circumstance. The devotee knows that the material world is the way it is. Sometimes things are up and sometimes things are down. But devotee just keeps going no matter what, because they know that devotional service has nothing to do with anything material. And the best way to stay fixed is to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. And that gives us the higher taste. And we're looking for that higher taste. It's available. You just have to go for it. That's all. It's available. It's there in kirtan. It's there in sadhu sangha. It's even there in some of the ordinary things that we perform in devotional activity. If we think material life is more important than spiritual life, then we don't understand spiritual life at all. Or not more important, but more beneficial.
Thank you. Thanks, Maharaj. I hope that answers your question, Rasingala Mataji. I'm looking forward to come to Radhadesh Meadows.
I'll see you there. Good.
Shridevi Mataji, your hands is raised. Do you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances or glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, Guru Maharaj, on this question of taking spiritual life very seriously after a certain age, you mentioned that the couple settles their children and then they go to a holy place. Then they both go to a holy place. I think you said husband takes sannyas and the wife devotes herself to the deity in that holy place, and that's how they continue their devotional life. But is it that all the classes, that means Brahmanas, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, Shudras, everyone can take sannyas, or only a certain class of Grihasthas can take sannyas?
It says only Brahmins can take sannyas. In some cases, Kshatriyas also can. But we're not Brahmins or Kshatriyas, Vaishyas or Sudras, we're Vaishnavas. So we might be performing activities that fit into the Varna of one of these, but we are none of these. Therefore, the process of renunciation and taking sannyas is available. for those who are qualified. But leaving home and detaching themselves from all responsibility, material responsibility is a kind of renunciation.
So the
Sannyas,
couple can still live
sannyas,
together in the holy place, or they separate even in the holy place?
separate, yeah. You don't want to, that's a stage where you gradually move away from family life. But if you can do it all at once, it's even better.
Hmm.
Look at Yudhishthira Maharaj, look at King Parikshit. King Parikshit had everything. He was still young. He wasn't elderly. He just left it all. So it depends on the situation, depends on the person. The gradual process is for those who can't do it all at once. And for those who are fully aware that material life is simply encumbering the soul in the meshes of birth and death, one can immediately. That's why you see devotees in our movement, they've taken sannyas at a young age. The Prabhupada allowed that, although it's pretty much not against the Varnashram system. It's just it's not ordinarily done. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu set the example. Although he is God himself, we cannot come to the standard of what God does, but he showed the example that he took sannyas when he was 24 years old. And many of Prabhupada's disciples also took sannyas at a young age. And people criticize, they say, well, they still have material desires. But Prabhupada said, yes, fine. Even if they do, they stay fixed in their renunciation and develop attachment for chanting of the holy name, they can come to the stage of perfect renunciation, perfect sannyas.
So that means,
Prabhupada's program is somewhat concessionary for the sake of preaching, because our movement is a preaching movement.
so ultimately, each of us must gradually detach and renounce the material world, because how else can we go to the spiritual world if we continue to be attached and continue to be entangled? It's not possible to go back. Is that what I'm hearing, Guru Maharaj? Regardless of who we are and which varna, which ashram, we must gradually, all of us, move to the stage of renunciation?
Yeah, it's for everyone.
Okay.
Do it all at once, fine. If you can't, do it in the gradual process. It's not that you have to accept the gradual process, and that's the only way. No, I used the example of devotees in ISKCON. They didn't do the gradual process. They took sannyas at an early age. When some of the ladies were married to some of the men, and their husbands took sannyas, the ladies also put on white and stayed within the society of devotees and continued to do devotional service. And didn't get married again.
Okay. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thanks, Maharaj. Any other questions, devotees? Yes, Silpesh Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. Maharaj, you talk about leaving material life behind for our spiritual life. But I don't think I've ever really experienced spiritual life. So how can we have faith in that there is a spiritual world and there is a spiritual life beyond this?
Well, you think Krishna's he's lying when he talks about it? It's like Krishna's a liar, right? the spiritual master, and Arjun said, Asita Deva Vyas, and Narada, they're all saying, you are the supreme personality of Godhead. So he's confirming from the Acharyas. So the Acharyas, along with the Lord, give the process and the knowledge that goes with the process. It's all there in the scriptures. The scriptures are they're called aparusha, not man-made. It's not like somebody's coming up with some nice idea for some fantasy world beyond this one. It's not. If you chant Hare Krishna and you offer your food every day, whatever you eat in devotion, chanting the mantras to maybe a picture of Srila Prabhupada, and you visit the temple, you take opportunities to take part in the functions of the temple, that's spiritual life. And you can't, how can you say you're not doing spiritual life?
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you for clearing my doubts.
Spiritual life is not some hocus pocus that descends from this some corner of the universe and just you get electrical charge and then all of a sudden you faint, and then when you wake up you're in another land. Spiritual life is the activities of devotion to the Supreme Lord. That's what it is. The Supreme Lord is fully and wholly spiritual. And any activities connected with him will also take on the same nomenclature. That's spiritual. But if you're seeing your spiritual activity as material, then you'll get some benefit from it, but not the full benefit, because your consciousness is not aligned with the principles that govern spiritual activity. Therefore, you have to understand, yeah, I'm serving the Lord. I'm doing this service. I'm sweeping the temple. I'm cutting vegetables for the offerings. I'm going to the holy places to visit the deity. I'm going to the kirtans. These are all spiritual activities. You have to do something. You can't just imagine. Spiritual life is active life. We're very active materially, the same activity, just apply it to Krishna under the guidance of his trained representatives, and then those same activities will elevate your consciousness and bring you to spiritual consciousness. Sometimes we use an example, which we tell people not to do, but it's a way that they can reflect. We say, okay, you're chanting Hare Krishna, and you're doing it every day for so many years. Now, so don't do it for one day and see how you feel. Don't do it for the second day, and you'll notice a bigger difference. If you do it the third day, then you really notice the difference. So we don't recommend that type of experiment, but that's a reality. If you're engaged in devotional service and you're not understanding and you stop, you'll see the whole world is different. Your consciousness is different. What happens to you is different. Everything becomes different. Because we don't really realize that when you're engaged in devotional service, you're in the spiritual energy, and that energy is protecting you and uplifting you. You may not perceive it, but it's happening.
Thanks, Maharaj. I hope that answers your question, Sarpesh Prabhu. Thank you. Ashidevi Mataji, you've got your hands up again.
Yes, please. Guru Maharaj, I would like to ask a question regarding stepping up our spiritual life, even though we are facing problems, we are facing difficulties, challenges, obstacles, whatever it may be. How do we know that we are trying to escape from that, addressing that material problem by saying, I've got so much seva to do, or I'm stepping into, more seva, so now I cannot deal with this, or evading our material problems by stepping up our spiritual services?
If you step up your spiritual life really far, then all your material problems are gone.
Haribo! That answers the question. Thank you. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
One
It
of
has
the ways to solve a problem is go beyond the problem. And you
Thank
can't solve material problems anyway. You Prahlad Maharaj makes that point. Material solutions to material problems are more problematic than the problems. And they lead to further problems, that's all. You tell the story is the story of the yogi who's living on the banks of the river, and he has nothing but two kopans. That's all he has. And so he wears one, he washes the other one, hangs it up, and then a little mouse comes along, starts chewing on it. So he's thinking, this is my only other possession. I have to do something. So someone says, we'll get a cat, so to keep away the mouse. So he gets a cat to keep away the mouse. And then the mouse is kept away by the cat, but the cat needs food. So the cat starts calling for food. So he has to feed the cat. So the cat really wants milk. So he doesn't have any way to get milk. So he gets a cow to help feed the cat, so the cat can keep away the mouse from his kopans. So now he has a cow and he has to milk the cow, but he can't do his bhajan because he's been taking care of the cow. So he thinks, I have to have someone take care of the cow so they can get milk to feed the cat and keep the mouse away from my other pair of kopans. So he's thinking, well, I'll get a wife. So he gets a wife. So she can take care of the cow, so she can milk the cow and give the milk to the cat. It can keep it away. And then the wife is there milking. Then she says, well, I have to have a place to live. I can't live on the bank of the. So he's thinking, well, I have to take care of my wife and get her a house so she can milk the cow, so to feed the cat, to keep away the mouse from the kopans. So he has to go out and get a job to support his wife so she can get a house. You get the message? And finally, he thinks, what is the use of all this? Better just deal with the mouse. And then he just goes back with two pairs of kopans, one always in jeopardy. It's simpler. At least he could do his bhajan. So material life is like that. You get one thing to take care of another thing, you get another thing to take. Pretty soon you got so many things to take care of, you got no time for anything except taking care of things.
Thank you, Maharaj. Any other questions, devotees, from anyone? There are no other questions. Guru Maharaj as so many devotees have joined, would you be interested in doing one rounds if a round together if you are free? Otherwise,
Yeah. Okay.
okay. That's fine. Thank you, Mother.
Satyabam, I'm gonna, can I call you as soon as the class is over? I have to ask you a couple things.
Sure, Maharaj. We'll talk after the class. Thank you.
Okay. Jai Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Krishna Hare Ram, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, 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 Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sivasadi Gaur, Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you, my Guru. Thank you, Maharaj. So it was so nice chanting with you. I think everyone was really ecstatic there, the nice chanting. Thank you. Just before we close, Maharaj, I just wanted to announce I've got a message from Srimati Mataji that tomorrow's class is with the Harrisburg devotees. UK time will be 1 p.m. and Indian IST time will be 6:30 p.m. and it will be on CC Adilila 435.
Chaitanya Charita, read the 4th chapter, 35th verse.
Yes, Adilila. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And it'll be 1 p.m. UK time, Maharaj. 6:30 Indian time. Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Okay, I'll call you. I have to ask you
Yes.
some.
Yes, Maharaj, I will phone with me.
Prabhupada ki jai. Come tomorrow. We'll see all of you. You come every day. You don't know it, but you're getting purified simply by coming. Even if you don't ask a question or just by hearing, the process is working.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, Guru Maharaj. Thank you ever. Thank you so much, devotees, for joining. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Krishna, thank you very much.
Hare
Thank you,
Bol.
Mataji.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.